Yeah,
And now you flip the screen.
I shared my screen here. Can
That's
you see
fine.
it?
Yeah, I can definitely see it.
So I'm in UiPath StudioX in the Community Edition,
And first of
and
all, if
mhm,
I may interrupt you before you start, so
sure,
this UiPath Studio X, that's built within your UiPath Studio. So if you're using UiPath Studio, you also have access to this Studio X, right?
true.
It's
You will
just
go
go to
to
settings and
Settings,
licenses.
License and Profile, View a Change Profile, and there you can switch between the normal Studio
Yep,
and the Studio X. Yeah.
cool.
So I just click here, and it will restart, and you will have this very similar interface um, where we have, let's see, I want to do something. No, I want to do something new. Just close my old project here.
Yep,
Go to start, and this looks very much like Studio, right?
yep.
Um, but a cool thing here is that they UiPath put in some templates. So if you do wanna like uh, figure out how to make a Word template work with some data from Excel and do some emailing, there are some pretty good explanatory templates in here that you can open and see, and you can run them and see, okay, this is how it works, and maybe do your own stuff. But I'm gonna start from the beginning.
And we should present the case maybe. So if we could go to the web page where we wanna where the RPA challenge is, and then we can
Yeah,
present the
so
case.
the challenge is, as we just talked about before, is to have some data in an Excel spreadsheet,
Yeah.
and you need to type that data into some fields in this. This is like a mock-up CRM system. So you can download the data, you can put it somewhere, and then you're actually good to go. Um, if we want to
That sounds
look at the data.
easy. That sounds easy. What's the challenge?
Well, the challenge, as you obviously know, is that when you hit the submit button, the fields on the screen will move around. The order will change, and then the appearance will change. It will move around, and the fields have some IDs in the HTML code, which also changes when you hit submit. So you need to figure out how to create a robot that will, take that into account and not break down on the first after the first try, right? You want to add
So
anything to that?
no, maybe we could you could open the website so we can just see it and we can see what we're up against.
Yeah. Oh, for some reason it says my screen sharing is paused. That was not. I have no idea why it is paused.
Ah, okay. Now you it became a little bit bigger, but your mouse is standing still. Maybe
You're
I
not seeing my RPA challenge screen
no
because
no no
I
no.
had it on my screen the entire time, so that's why I was showing people that
No,
it was moving around.
I can just see you're viewing Michael Fray's screen, and then I can see your face out here. Now we can see it. We're here.
I'm
We're
sorry.
good.
I think I only shared the
No,
UI, the Studio X
no, yeah.
application and not my entire screen.
No.
Now you can see everything, right?
So this is the RPA challenge, and what you first need to do is that you download this Excel sheet here.
Yeah.
And
Download this,
can you show us
put
that?
it, and just you put it somewhere where you can find it again.
Yeah.
And it has these columns of data with first name, last name, company name, roles, etc.
And
And the challenge is that we need to take this data and put it into this mock-up CRM system.
yeah.
And
And
I said, I thought I did show this before, but apparently I didn't. But
no.
every time you hit the submit button, fields will move around, the order will change, IDs in the background will change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you will create a solution that will take these problems or these challenges into account, and you'll
yeah.
do that in
And
Studio.
it will take this data and just type it in, hit the save button, and move on to the next record in the spreadsheet and continue until it's done.
Actually, Mika, that was how I got to know you. I saw your video on YouTube. You made a
Hmm.
video actually about this, and then I saw it and I connected with you and we talked. And so that was actually our meeting. That was through this RPA challenge, right?
That is true. Yeah. And these challenges are good fun. if you just
Yeah,
want to
definitely.
play around and get some experience doing automations,
And
these will provide you with some level of difficulty.
yeah, and I think those are important because you will learn a lot better when you have an actual case to solve instead of just sitting around and clicking buttons in the program.
Yeah, because then you will end up automating some boring stuff like clicking buttons in the calculator or something. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really see the use for that. And I think many people can um,
Be,
recognize this
be careful, Mika.
scenario,
Be careful. I
right?
made a video about clicking buttons on calculator.
I'm sure you did. And I've clicked all the buttons in my calculator also,
Yeah.
you know, and I typed in like an input box where you could put in a number and you could put in another number and
And
it would type it in on the calculator,
yeah.
which is a ridiculous automation because it would be so much faster just to do it
Yeah.
directly in the calculator.
Yeah, you're right. But
But for
it can be good to see how to work in applications and maybe play a little bit with selectors and that. So
yeah, that is true. So
but
I'll
not,
just refresh the screen so we get like a
yeah.
brand new one.
And maybe we should see that. Maybe we should say that the challenge starts when you click start down here in the left corner, and then
Yep.
you will click submit like 10 times because we got 10 rows, and then the challenge is over. You'll get a percentage of how many correct entries you have, and of course you must get 100%. And then there is the time which we can't do nothing about. I actually tuned my UiPath Studio solution, but that's related to how fast the program is computing, right?
Yeah, the execution of the process is for some reason a bit slower in StudioX. If you do this challenge in normal Studio, it's a lot faster when it runs,
Yeah.
like milliseconds, right? But it's still a lot faster in StudioX than any user can do it. I would I would say.
Cool.
You have to be a really, really experienced typing person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get started.
Let's do that.
So we want to do something with this website.
Yeah.
We already downloaded our data in Excel, and we want to do something with this website. So when we go into Studio, if you already know Studio, looks quite familiar, I guess, at least the menu here in the top. We're also very used to have our box of activities here on the left. Here it's a bit more user friendly, if we can say it that way.
Do you
Um,
find that you miss any activities? Like, of course, I can see that you won't have all the activities as you do in Studio, but have you come across things that you thought were missing?
yeah, a lot of things, many things are missing here. I very often find myself working with data tables and stuff like that, and doing for each row stuff. And it's not something that is right there. You can actually add packages to Studio X as you normally would in Studio. So you can add in additional functionality. But I assume that UiPath somewhere decided that doing something with a web browser or a simple application, doing something with Word, Excel, Outlook, some stuff like that is what most users would need,
Yeah.
right out of the box.
Yeah, like business
And
users.
actually, that's all we need today,
Yeah.
basically.
Cool.
So we need to work with an application or the browser, and we need to work with Excel, right?
And actually,
Um,
I thought that is, I think it's the first solution I've seen that's done exclusively in Studio X. So I'm looking forward for that.
yeah, cool. Let's hope you will be equally as excited in
Yeah.
the end.
So now you're
So what
dragging in, you take an use application browser, and
yeah,
that
and I
does.
drag this onto my canvas here,
Mm-hmm.
and it says like, let's see if it's ready. It is. It says indicate an application. So I will click that, and I will just tell Studio I want to work with this window. Um, so it takes it back. It recognizes the URL that I was on,
Yeah.
and it has like this like nice little thumbnail so you can see what it was all about. Um, And then now that this process knows we have to go to this website, we need to add the activities we want to do on that website.
So if we want to do browser activities, we need to put them in this drop activity here. So we need to put all the activities in this place.
That is correct. If you start putting activities outside this box here, it does not know that this is it doesn't know where to execute the commands. If you want to click on a button on a website, you need to do it inside this use browser activity, right?
Cool.
Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to work with our Excel file. I will add the clicking of the buttons at the end.
Yep.
I just want to get started doing the Excel work.
Of course.
So we have this Excel here, and then we have this use Excel file, which is obviously the one we want to be using now. We have to say, okay, which Excel file you want to work with. You can browse to it here.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think I put it on my desktop. I have several copies, but they are all the same.
Yeah.
And it says, okay, so how do you want to reference this Excel file, throughout the process? And it suggests just to the word Excel, and that's fine by me, because it's very clear what it is then.
Yeah.
So.
And now we got a nested drop activity, because now we have drop activities in this use Excel file, right?
That is true. And do you want to point out anything specific
No,
about that?
I was just curious. So what activities do we want to put in here in this use Excel file? Is that like getting the data out, or what do you do here?
Yeah, exactly. So within the scope of us using the Chrome browser, we want then to do some other activities while in there. So we have the use Excel file, and here, we have to, as you mentioned, to add some additional activities where we have like a good long list of different activities, things you can actually do with a spreadsheet. The one we will be using is the Excel for each row activity, which I will drag here. Because this says inside this Excel spreadsheet, I want to do something for each row with data I encounter. Yeah?
Yeah, so a loop, and so we're iterating through each one of the rows, and then we will do something with those rows.
True. So it says here for Excel for each row, and it will call it CurrentRow. You can change the name of that, but that's a good way to know which row you're working with. That would be the current row. Say in where in this range, where you can say you can actually do both here. Here we can say sheet 1. Today we know we have 10 lines today, but maybe in a real world scenario, one day you have 5 lines, another day you have 20 lines perhaps. So it would make sense just to say all the data on sheet 1.
Yeah.
You can also indicate it inside Excel. Let's try to do that just for fun. So it will open up the Excel file, as you can see here.
Yeah.
And we can say these are the data we want to work with, or we could do more or less. And now I marked them out, and I say confirm, and then it takes that range back. Had we just said sheet 1, it would take the exact same data, because when it gets to the empty rows, it will just stop because there's no data in there.
And so if we had now we have only one sheet name, that's sheet 1 in this Excel book, but have we had more sheet, like sheet 2, sheet 3, we could have chosen them here when we click the plus sign, right? Yeah,
exactly. So you can always get to the right sheet where the data is. An important one is it has header checkbox here, because it did have headers, and I included them in my selection, so it's important to say it has headers. But that also gives you the ability to then use the names from the headers later when we want to type in the data to our online CRM application, the challenge screen.
Yeah.
So that's actually what we need to do to get the data out of the Excel spreadsheet.
Where do you save that data? So it's not going into like up in the air. What do you do with that?
And now we want to, we want to take the data we have here, and then we want to have the robot to start typing everything in here.
So you're already doing that now?
I'm going to do that now, yeah, because yeah,
cool.
that is just how that's fast,
It's a lot faster than the process I built in the normal UiPath, I must say that, and it's a lot faster than I've seen it in some of the other tools out there.
Yeah, and that's what I actually really like about StudioX is the simplicity.
Yeah.
Because they have been really focusing on creating activities that are easy for a business user to just pull in and use, right? You don't have to read the in normal studio you would read everything into a data table and then you would do something with that, and it's a bit more complicated. Basically the same stuff, but and the other way you have maybe more control, but here is plenty. It's just what we need, right?
And if you're a first-time user, this can or might be a little bit complicated, but we will take Michael's workflow and leave a link to that in the description, so you can all try it.
Sure. So now we want to have an activity which is called typed into, which you also know from normal studio, and you can go find it out here somewhere. You can also click the little plus sign here, and you will get a little search box here on the top where we can say type. So because I want to do some typing.
Is that different from the other search? There's a search activities over to the left. Is that the same or?
That's exactly the same.
Okay.
But this search is some developers prefer the ability to just do it this way. You have your common scenarios here, you have your activities there, and
you can search that.
Yeah, basically here you can get it by just using the keyboard if you want, but
okay,
it depends on what you like.
Yeah.
Right? So for our first type into activity, we basically have to indicate on the screen where we want to do some typing. So the process know where to type something in.
And you just take the first one, but we could easily, it doesn't matter what order you take them in, right?
We could do it in whatever order we felt like.
Yeah.
But if to me it just makes sense that we take the first one and then the second one and then then we take all of them.
Of course.
So I will just click this field. You can see by the green ribbon that it identifies the various fields, and now I clicked it and it marks it with this green square thingy. I say this is what I found for you, and I will confirm that. So it has now a type into, and it takes the name from the field.
So it actually
say rolling company.
It renames the activity to rolling company. So that's a benefit, right? We can easily identify the activity if we come back to it, or say that you built some of this and I have to come back to it. I can easily see that this types into rolling company.
Exactly, that's a huge benefit, and it's a very good practice, or even best practice, because you should always name your activities or whatever is going on in a way so other developers or colleagues can figure out what is going on without to have to, examine each activity closely.
Cool.
So type into role of company is where we want to type in, and here it says in gray, select a value.
Yeah.
We can do that by hitting the plus sign. And as we did just before, where we said we want to do something for each row in our spreadsheet, it will loop through all the rows, and the current row we're working with is named CurrentRow. So we can basically just go to CurrentRow, and we can say, yes, here we want to put in row and company, because it has taken this name from the headers in the spreadsheet. So that's basically it.
Yeah.
You have some options to say, is it a single line field? Do you need to click inside the field before you start typing? Some applications, don't know that the field is active unless you click inside it. Some other applications don't care. So that's something you can tweak. But basically, this is what we need.
So we're repeating this step like a couple or 7 times actually for each one of the columns?
If we want to run it, so we have to do all of them, right?
Of course.
doesn't take too long.
And this is a major difference than when I solved it in UiPath Studio. I had to tune the selectors to make it dynamic, but here StudioX automatically recognizes that it recognizes the anchor, that's the company name or the first name, and then it will exactly know where it is every round. And that's
It's
actually I saw a solution in, I think it was I know it was Automation Anywhere, and you had the same problem there. So this seems like a quite simple process compared to like UiPath or Automation Anywhere.
It's a lot easier to do it in here.
Yeah.
They take care of all the complex things we normally need to do in the studio.
Yeah.
Automatically, which is cool, I think, and that's why it's a lot easier to do the challenge in StudioX, because it's just, you don't have to do that much.
No.
And I'm a big fan of doing as little as possible.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if
not because I'm lazy, but because that's, the big idea of automation is not to do too much yourself.
yeah.
Right?
So if the program can figure things out for you, we'll definitely go with that.
Yeah, no need to do it yourself if you can get the software to do it for you, right? So I'm clicking the last field now.
Yeah, and for each field you are taking the data from the current row. Like you click the plus current row, and then you take address here.
Yeah. So basically here now we have a type into for each field in our CRM application. We have the role and company, where we put in the role and company, and last name we put in last name, and so on.
And are we done, or do we need some button clicking, like you said in the beginning?
Yeah, we need to click some buttons also. So that's a part of, when we have typed all this data in, we need to submit it, right?
Yeah, and we need to click start.
Because of the challenge, we also need to click start, so the timer will start and it will check each round. There will be 10 rounds because of the 10 lines of data. So let's just add that.
And it's not, it's important where we place those buttons, because if we place the submit in the end or outside the for each loop, then we couldn't make it work. So maybe you can show us where to put it.
Yeah, sure. So clicking the submit button, it makes sense. You as a user, you would type all this data in, and then you would hit submit. So in the same way, we would have the robot type all this data in, and then we wanted to click the submit button.
So actually,
I found
this is a key point in automation. You are doing you're programming exactly what the user is doing, nothing more, nothing less, right?
Yeah, more or less. Well, depending on the process, it would make sense maybe to evaluate the process if what the user is doing is actually sound and it makes sense.
Of course, but if
here there are not so many other ways to do it.
So we click.
So yeah, I would take the click activity, drag it here
inside
at the end of our typing in thing, and and as I drag it inside this scope where we do something for each row, because we want to click the button at the end of each typing in round, so to say, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We need to indicate the target on the screen. This is the submit button.
Yeah.
There you go. And I will confirm that. So now it clicks this button, single click with the left mouse button.
Cool.
Makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
To start the exercise or the challenge, we need to also click the start button, as you said.
Yeah.
And that would make sense we do that outside the Excel scope, since that click of that button doesn't really belong to the work we do with Excel.
No.
Just for logical reasons, I will place it outside.
Can you talk us about if we wanted to improve the time, where would we place the click then? Couldn't we say that we could? You actually told me like earlier that we could tune the solution a bit if we moved the click somewhere. Can you show us where we want to move it if we want to tune the selection a bit, tune the workflow a bit? Sorry.
The execution speed, or
the execution speed. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Can I get back to that in a minute?
Of course. Sorry.
I will show you somewhere else.
Yeah. Sorry.
Because there's a neat little trick to that. But you can click it here. If you want the process, if you want to improve your score for the time it takes for the robot to work, you could maybe consider putting it here, because it will take a second or two for the robot to open this Excel file. So we can say, okay, let's open the Excel file, have our data ready, and then we click the start button
Yeah.
instead of clicking start before opening the
Yeah.
Excel.
Okay.
That would trick it like a second or two, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a lot.
No.
But I will get back to the other thing in a minute.
But
I
if I
just
mean,
need to.
this is it's not a competition, but you want to solve it as quickly as possible, so you
Yeah,
could compromise your best practices a bit, like placing the activities.
yeah, because normally I think I would create the button outside my
Of
Excel
course, and we
screen,
can do
because it doesn't
that.
really. This action does not belong
No,
to the
no.
Excel
So maybe we should put it.
stuff,
Yeah,
right?
you're right. We should put it out there. You're definitely right.
So, and that's a great thing about this. You can just drag it, or if you realize it's in the wrong place, you can reorder and drag your activities wherever you want them, and
Cool.
and now it's there. So
Cool.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So basically, it will. If we click the run button now, it will go to that page. It will open Excel file. It will take all the data from the Excel file and it will type it into the um, application. Before it does that, it will hit the start button, and after each round of typing in, it will hit the submit button, and we should actually be good to go. But it will take a while.
So should we just run it and verify that we
Yeah,
can?
let's do that. Let's
I
see if it
cross my
works.
fingers, and I'm sure that you came up with a solution that
So hit
works.
run.
Yeah.
If you notice, it clicked the start button,
Roll and company.
and now it will.
Oh, and now it takes in the order that we filled it in, of course, in the beginning. In the of
Yeah, we
the
should get all of it in there,
yeah.
but and the order it could be different, because when we hit submit, the fields will move around,
Yeah.
so they will be filled in like a random order every time.
It
But who
looks,
cares,
yeah,
really?
yeah, of course. It looks like this definitely works. Now we just have to wait and talk 8 more rounds, and then we
Yeah,
should
exactly.
finalize this challenge, right?
Yeah. So you can see it's taking it, nice and slow.
Yeah, and we could
Um,
tune that, and that'll probably we can make it double as quick or double as fast.
yeah,
Like if we, but this delay time, it must be there for some reason. It will probably make it more stable, right? And if we have these delays before and after.
yeah. Also, some systems, if when you type something into a field, they perform some actions and stuff in the background, and maybe they're looking up data or something. So you can tweak those so it will match the application you're trying to automate.
Yeah.
But in this situation here, nothing
No.
happens.
I actually
You
am.
basically just have to wait for it to type stuff in.
Yeah.
It still types a lot faster than I do, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I would prefer this anytime
And I
doing
mean,
it
and I mean,
myself.
if you were typing this, you weren't able to talk with me, right? You will probably be quite focused on delivering these exact entries, and you'll probably make an error or two, just a small one, like a type error or
Yeah,
something.
you never know.
Uh-huh.
But actually, I would bet you that I can do the automation in less time than you can type this data in manually,
Yeah, definitely.
right?
Yeah.
So, and if that's the scenario, it's obvious that it's a good idea to automate it.
Yeah. And actually, we are, yeah, of course. And if this had like 1,000 rounds, then it would be a much better business case than just these 10 rounds.
Sure. And maybe this is something you do every day, like, 10 rows, 20 rows, 50 rows, I don't know. But very often I see situations where companies are doing things like
Yeah.
this every day. And many people perhaps are doing it the same thing every day.
Have you? I'm
Exactly
just curious.
the
Have
same
you
thing.
ever automated some of your private life?
I did try. I did. I take a lot of pictures of holidays and kids and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Um, and I wanted to create like an online, what's it called, photo album for family to share. Um, but I had so ridiculously many pictures and stuff. It would take me for ages just to upload them to this album picture site.
Yeah.
But I had them neatly arranged in folders on my computer, but it would just take forever to upload
What
them.
did your
So I
automation
did
do?
create a, well, the automation, it went to my photos folder, figure out, okay, you have this many folders. Um, it took the name of each folder, went to the album side, created a new album, the name of the folder, clicked the upload button, took the images, and
Yeah.
uploaded everything, and it overnight it uploaded all my pictures
Yeah.
from my hard drive to this online photo album site. I would never have done it if I should do it manually.
No. Was that done in UiPath?
No, I did that in an old tool called Win Automation, which is like a desktop automation tool, which I think is pretty cool, but it is not as versatile as UiPath is, in my opinion. But it can do a lot of nice stuff. I wrote a column about it on Computer World
Are you still writing
some
columns?
few years. I haven't been writing anything for quite a while now,
Okay.
which I'm ashamed to admit.
Yeah.
But I did write some columns for Computer World a few years back, and I wrote one specifically on Windows automation because I found it somewhere and I decided to give it a try, and I solved my photo thing, and it was just like, woo! I have to write an article about that.
Yeah. That's interesting. So,
That was so cool.
so did we get a time? We got
Yeah,
100%
yeah, yeah. We did.
accuracy, and we did it in like 204 15 seconds, 14 seconds.
Yeah. So in a couple of
Yeah.
minutes, right? 3 minutes of for whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
We did type all this data in. And of course, it also took us a while to just do the automation. But if you're still watching this video, it didn't take too long,
No,
right?
no,
So
no, no, of course. So, Mika, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, to hear your advices, to hear your experience, and it's been a pleasure that you could show us Studio X, and we had a tour around it. We built this case, but we saw a lot of activities, and you told us about a lot of the properties. So, thank you for that.
you're very welcome.
And until the next time we talk, have a good one.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
Take care. Bye.